So we're going to start off in classroom.google.com. This is our demo teacher account, and it already belongs to a number of classrooms. We're going to go through the basics of setting up a classroom, the settings you need to tweak on a classroom, and options that are available and why you may or may not want to use them. And then we'll look at that from the perspective of the student, who's called Albert in our case. So going to create a brand new class, you have to be a teacher to have the ability to create a class. When you first log in, it may ask you, are you a student or teacher, or you may already be assigned to the teacher group, in which case you have access to making a class. So obviously it's about creating a brand new class. So we're going to just create a quick class. I'm going to call this April 21. I ended up with far too many test classes. The section, subject and room aren't needed. They add extra information for really big schools, particularly secondary schools, obviously, but isn't required information. As it says, you only need the name of the class. When you create a class, it takes you straight into the class, and this is all fairly customizable, and it takes you to what's known as the stream screen. And the stream allows you to see what has happened newly into a class space, because it's in reverse chronological order. So new things are at the top and older things are further down. Obviously, brand new class, nothing here at all yet. For your students, this is quite useful because the upcoming box will show them anything that's been set that they need to go and look at. So if you set something with a deadline, an assignment with a deadline, that will appear and be summarized for them on the stream, which can be quite useful. The classwork is the place where we're going to create work and assign work, as it says here. And it's the easiest way of managing work. And to be honest, as a teacher, that's the space I tend to spend all my time in. And then people is the space where I can bring in students. I can manually add them if I wish, or I can ask them to join themselves using this simple code, which is always lowercase, which makes it nice and easy. And then there is the gradebook, which is a newish feature. And most primary schools are ignoring that on the whole. So these are these four tabs across the top, if you like, for the four different sections of a classroom. We'll start off just by looking straight at the settings for the classroom, I think. So here you can rename your class. If you didn't like the name of your class, you can add the other content you need. You can get to your class code. You can, another way of displaying it large, although I'm going to show you an easy way in a moment, you can copy it. We can also change the class code. We can also disable it to stop other people joining the class if we wish. Again, that's much more of a thing that secondary schools feel they need. The stream has a space at the moment where people can post and comment, and by default it's set so students can create brand new topics and can reply to each other. So it's very much a chat space. In a physical school environment, I tend to disable that because it's just a distraction. However, we're finding with remote learning, lots and lots of students and pupils are finding this very valuable to better have a space to chat. But it may be that you want to restrict the times when they can do that. So you have three options here. The bottom option, only teachers can post or comment, will switch the stream off and will stop anyone making any comments apart from you, the teacher. So you can announce things, you can talk about things, you can explain things, you can share things, but they cannot reply. The middle option allows them to reply to something that's already there. It doesn't stop them typing anything they like, but every comment they make will always have their name and the date and the time on it. So it's all very transparent. The top option lets them create their own, so you can have real sort of open chat. I say I tend to leave it set at this setting because I'm happy with that, but I know there are spaces where actually it's quite nice for students to be able to chat, and some people are doing this as their part of their normal classroom. Some schools have set up separate classrooms especially for pupils to chat in and have this open at maybe break times or lunch times so that they have some space to chat amongst themselves. Notifications are the things that happen. So when I post new things, things appear, and again you can limit down how much details you want for that. Deleted items makes it easier for you to reuse a classroom, and Guardian summaries are available. Again, not many schools are using this yet, but it's a way of bringing in parents via their email, and they just get a summary of what's been sent to them. So they can't see any work, they can't see any other children, they just get a summary of these are the things that are available now. A brand new feature which has only come in the last week is you can actually have Meet as part of your classroom. Now we're going to look at Meet in a lot more detail tomorrow, so I'm just going to gloss over that really quickly now, but this is a nice quick way of generating a Meet, getting a Meet link which you can then use with just this one group of students in this classroom. And then underneath here's the grading settings. And again, most schools aren't really bothering with those, so I'm going to skip past. If you make any changes at all to settings, there is a save button at the top. Be aware of that. It needs clicking to be able to save those changes. The next thing is look and feel. When you end up with a number of classes, and we've got a number of classes certainly in this account now, having a different look and feel is really quite a nice way of being able to identify what a classroom is about. And so there are classroom themes that are preset on a number of different topics, but it may be that you can also upload another image, a fixed image, that you find particularly useful. So, for example, a classroom doesn't have to be just about a class. It can be about a topic. So, for example, you use Nothing to Stop You Having an Egyptian class or a science class, in which case you could also upload a photo and use a photo as the backdrop, and that makes it really quite unique and stand out differently. So, as I say, this is the class code that you would share with your students. Now, when we're not working with them in the classroom, this is the piece of information you would want to maybe email to their parents, say, please, will you go into classroom.google.com and join the class with this code? And that's all they should need to be able to get access. Of course, in a classroom environment, then, yeah, we can pop it nice and big on a screen. That makes it really nice and easy. The second way of adding people is to go in and start typing their email addresses. So I'm going to just quickly look for Albert Pupil, who is our pupil, and I can invite him this way rather than getting him to type in the code if I wish. However, I have got to do this for every single pupil, so it is very long-winded. The other option I have got is sharing a space with teachers, and particularly at a time when maybe potentially people could become poorly, having more than one person as a teacher for a class space is really, really quite important. Well, let's make Dominic a teacher. Why not? I know he's here. So I'm going to invite Dominic to become a teacher to this space, which means he'll have the ability to come in and be able to set work and see work and control the space. So it could be used if you've got teaching assistants who'd like to better use a classroom space. Absolutely, you can add them as teachers as long as they've got a Google account on your domain. They can come in here. Most head teachers like the overviews. They like to be added as a second teacher or third teacher into a space so that they can have the ability to be able to pop into classes. Certainly in the schools I'm working in, it's sometimes useful for us as 1, 2, 3 people to have one of your accounts and to be able to get in and to be able to have a look at a classroom space. If there are issues, we can troubleshoot things much more easily. So the people's quite an interesting thing. So look and feel, some quick settings, and then this is our stream, and of course nothing's here because I've done nothing. So really quick overview. As teacher, this is what I've got access to. Now if I switch to Albert, our pupil, and just take him to classroom.google.com. He's also a member of a number of classes because poor old Albert gets to try out all the classes to see what it looks like as a student. It's really useful having a student account. As you can see at the beginning here, test class April 21. He's been invited to join that class. If I hadn't been invited, if I hadn't had the email address typed in, I can go join class with the plus button at the top and pop in the class code. So it's really easy to join classes. So let's take Albert into the test class. And at the moment, the test class is as you'd expect it to be. Albert can see the stream. He cannot add anything to it because if you remember, we said that only teachers were going to be allowed to do that. So he's great. He's reading it only. In classwork, there's nothing there, so he can't see anything. So it's blank. And in people, he gets to see who are the teachers, and he can send a quick message if he needs to, which means he will see whatever email address is held in the Google system. So just be aware of that. But on the whole, children don't really tend to bother with that. Most of our domains haven't got Gmail set up as an email system anyway, so it's not an issue for most schools. So that's the view as Albert. So we'll give Albert something to do. If I switch back to the teacher view, I can create something quickly and easily. I can create assignment, which is a two-way thing. I hand it out, I expect you to do it, and I expect you to hand it back in. Quiz assignment, we covered those yesterday, and we'll cover them again next week. It's about creating quizzes. A question is a quick question. All you can do is respond to the question. It's very limited in its scope. Material is a one-way thing. So a web link, a PDF file, a link to a video, all these things can be shared as material. It's a one-way system. And then as a teacher, I can reuse things that I've had before. So I can bring back things easily. And I can manage topics, which is how the page is split up to make things nice and easy for me. So if we go into here and we go BBC Bite Size, and it may be that we're wanting to share the nice new daily lessons link. Here we are, daily lessons link. I would find the page I wanted and I would copy the URL, the link, and then back in my classroom, I could add this as material because it's one way, and share that link very easily. And go add. And when I add content as material, I can add an existing file that I have in my Google Drive. I can add a link, which is what we're obviously going to do. I can add a file if it's working from my own PC. I can upload a file from a memory stick or from my physical PC. And I can add a YouTube link as well. So let's go link for the moment and paste in my lovely link. And that will immediately pull through a little thumbnail, so I can double check I'm in the right place. And then over on the right hand side of the screen, I can add topics, so we can make things nice and easy. So let's categorize things, remote learning. And I can also change class. If I've decided I want to add it to several classes at once, I could add actually this resource to a number of different classes at once. That's a fairly new feature. I also have the ability to differentiate. At the moment, Albert's the only pupil in my class, bless him. But if I had more students, then yes, I could untick the all students and say, okay, this resource is just really for a few people, and tick who it's to go for. I can also plan ahead. So rather than posting it immediately available, I can schedule it so it will appear at a specific date and time, which can be really, really quite helpful if you're planning as a teacher. And certainly that's how we're managing our 1, 2, 3 ICT classrooms. We started sharing with schools. I'm scheduling things sort of 2 or 3 weeks ahead at the moment to try and give myself a bit of a buffer of workspace. And so, yes, as a teacher, you can make things appear at 8 o'clock on Tuesday or whenever you want them to have available. So I'm just going to go ahead and post this resource now. And for Albert, if he goes into his classwork, we give the screen it's refreshed itself within a few seconds. Albert has the link. Albert can go straight onto the link and use the link, and it is instantaneous, and the website's available. And so it is really very quick and easy to share things like links. In the same way, I can share videos. So let's have a look. Oh, let's go with my chocolate theme. Making a video. I can go add. I can go to YouTube, and again, all the YouTube videos are filtered. For students logged into these accounts, a school account, everything is filtered. It's filtered at home as well as at school, doubly filtered at school. So none of these should have any bad content, but obviously it's always best practice to have watched it first. If you have watched a video first, then the simplest thing is to find it, copy its URL and paste it straight in here to make sure you get exactly the right one. If not, there is, as I say, a very good search, and we could say, okay, that's the video, I'd like to add it, and that will become part of the classroom. And again, I can have topics to organize things if I wish, differentiate, schedule, whatever I need to do. Very quick and easy to add something. So here I've got a second topic. Now, if my topic's the wrong way around, I just drag, drop, reorder. It's not a problem. And again, if I switch views to Albert, he's now got chocolate. It's already sitting here. The chocolate making video is there. If I click on it, it will open. It'll open a little window. There. Let me just pause that because it's going to be noisy. The content I can view full screen, so it's no problem with what I'm watching. There are no comments. There are no next roles, but you do tend to get embedded ads if they're part of the actual video sometimes, and it will often still option to show you more videos, but you don't get all the comments and the other bits and pieces. So it's quite a nice way of safely sharing YouTube content with students. So that's really sort of a quick overview of adding material. Assignments are a two-way process, so you'd expect to hand something out to get something back. The quiz assignment, as I say, we mentioned yesterday on yesterday's session, we'll repeat that again on Monday, because I think it's quite useful to be able to go through quiz assignments, and we can actually embed videos as part of that, which we'll have a look at again on Monday. But a basic assignment is just handing out something to have some work done. And to do that, you need to have the thing to start with. So because we are in a Google environment here, the best thing is for you as teachers to prepare your resources in Google to be able to share with the students so that they can work in Google. And that's one of the things that we're all getting a bit used to. So your My Drive is unlimited storage. You can share things like Word documents with students, but the sharing doesn't always work. Sometimes it throws errors. Sometimes it won't let them edit. So by far the safest way is to have created resources using the Google tools: Google Docs, which is compatible with Word processor, Google Sheets, which is compatible with Excel spreadsheet, Google Slides compatible with PowerPoint, or any of the other Google resources like Forms and Drawings, etc. They're much the safest thing to share with students to make things as trouble-free as possible. So I'm going to just quickly create a Google Doc. Of course, Google being Google, it's everything slightly reversed. My Microsoft brain tells me you start up Word, you create your document, you save it, and you tell it where to put it. The Google brain says actually you go to Drive, you look for the right folder. So let's go into our chocolate folder. Then you create the thing you want, and then you work on it, which is just a bit back to front, but it seems to be the best way of doing things. So I could just easily, let's quickly, there we are, start typing. Color notes. So even if I just start with something really simple like a quick title, I don't have to play around format or anything else. It's called untitled document. Don't like that. Click up here, it automatically pulls up a name and it saves it. So that's really quickly and easily. But having this document to now share in my classroom is going to help make management an awful lot easier for me. So I'll go create assignment, chocolate notes. And I could give some instructions, watch the video and make notes here. And then I can add something I've just created in my lovely Google Drive. So I can quickly find it. It's on my recents. If it wasn't, I can pop into my drive. If I want to reuse something else that our colleagues created, then I can find it in shared drive. That's fine. So let's grab my chocolate notes. And I need to change who can how we're going to work with this. Default is they'll look at my document and they won't be able to do anything. And we've had a number of teachers who come back to us in the last couple of weeks saying students can't access the work, they can't edit it. And you say, okay, are we sure about the settings? And quite often this is one of the issues. The second option allows them to all edit your original document. That works nicely for small groups. It's a bit of a recipe for a migraine for large groups. The magic bit is where it makes a copy for each student. It puts them automatically in a folder where I can get to them, so it makes things really, really quick and easy. So that's the choice we're going to give. And Albert will get his own named copy, which is great. Again, classes, students, I can assign points, which is part of the scoring. I can set a due date, so I can say, actually, yes, I want that finished by Friday, please, Albert. And I can, again, link it to one of my existing topics, so why not? I can also stick in a rubric if I want. That's another new feature. We're not going to look at that today. And originality reports basically just checks what they've written against the internet and sees what they've copied and pasted, which is, again, much more secondary, but it's still quite a nice, interesting thing. And, again, I could schedule or I can just assign it. So let's just assign that one for Albert right now. So that piece of work has been assigned to Albert. If I change views to Albert, he should have in chocolate one called chocolate notes, and it may be that I want to rearrange things so he watches the video, then he sees the notes, and again I can reorder, drag and drop very easily. So if we go back into here, there's the chocolate making video we've already watched a bit earlier. Here's my new one with chocolate notes, and there's my quick information. Watch the video and make notes here, which is great. At the moment it's saying view assignment, so I'm going to click on that one. And again, it gives me the information. Up here is my piece of work. It says Albert Pupil. That's Albert's piece of work. So that's named and ready, which is absolutely brilliant. Albert's also got the ability to create or add extra things. So we had a school today who was talking about wanting to be able to share photos of students reading. And we said, well, the best way is you create an assignment called Share Me Your Photos of You Reading. You don't attach anything to it. You just make that as an assignment. And then when the students come here, they'll have an add or create and they can upload existing content, which is absolutely great. So that's another alternative way of using this. But anyway, this is Albert's piece of work. So click on this. It's got Albert's name on it. It says chocolate notes. Albert can start working on the document. And again, this could be a presentation or anything. It doesn't really matter. Can't spell today, Albert. That's no good, is it? And then if Albert's finished, there is a turn in button at the top of the screen, which just basically highlights it to you as the teacher to say it is finished. If Albert forgets to, if Albert's internet dies and the window disappears, well, everything's changes are saved in Drive. Up till that point, everything's absolutely fine. As teacher, I've got my lovely chocolate notes here. I can see it's assigned to one student, poor old Albert. No one's handed it in. If they handed it in, I click in here. I can look at the pieces of work. If it's assigned still, I click on the word assigned. Here is Albert Pupil's piece of work. It will open it as a new tab, and I will see where Albert Pupil has got to. It's a live document. I can see exactly what Albert's done. I can see where Albert is working on the document. If we give it a few seconds just to load up, there we are. There's Albert Pupil, his carrot. That's where he is on the document. I could make changes for Albert Pupil. I could correct things very easily. I can leave him comments. I can add content to the page. I can just make a comment on the page, or I can add a private comment here. And that information, again, is instantaneous for Albert. So if Albert happens to be working on that document now, Albert will see that there are some changes that have been made, and some who made the changes, and to accept it, Albert just clicks the button and his work has been improved, and you can see where it's been improved and by who. Those comments are available. They're available on the earlier page. So we have to go back to our Chocolate Notes page to see where the piece of work was set, where the comments are. And again, Albert can reply to them. If he's got a question, there's some query, something he wants to ask, it's very quick and easy. And so from this page, if Albert's finished, he can click turn in. Otherwise, if he's forgotten to, he can do it from this page. Absolutely. Hand it in. I've finished. It will be submitted. Great. And then that, as the teacher, then becomes one of the submitted pieces of work. So if we change back to my teacher view, we'll close the lovely document we were looking at, and we'll go. You can see now it's moved into the turned in section. So I know Albert thinks it's finished. So it's quick and easy to share resources, videos, links, PDF files, anything like that. Setting assignments is brilliant because it just manages it all for you. If you then get to a stage where everything's a bit cluttered up, you can go, okay, lovely, I've finished with that assignment. Let's just get rid of it. Grades and comments will also be deleted. Is an issue unless you've saved those out. That's entirely up to you whether you want to just keep them in there and just move them to an archive section, because that's the other alternative, is to say, actually, we'll have a new topic called archive, and we'll add it to the bottom of the page. And when we've finished, let's move my archive down. There we go. And when we've finished, we can move things into the archive section. So that's, come on, there we go. So that's another option. So you can rearrange things and organize things, or you can, as I say, just choose to delete things. If I delete it, yes, grades and comments have been deleted. However, as teacher, I've got access to the class drive folder. Albert doesn't. If we take Albert back out of that piece of work and into classwork, he does have access, but he has access to his own work. So he'll see his own work, but he won't see everyone else's. So Albert has, there we go, Albert's Chocolate Notes, different versions of it, because it keeps different versions depending on edits that were made, which is absolutely wonderful. I can go back to look at earlier versions. Me as teacher, I've got access to the class drive folder. When I open that, it will show me all the different pieces of work in folders. So there's Chocolate Notes, and in Chocolate Notes, there will be Albert's piece of work. So I can get back to Albert's piece of work, and it's got multiple versions because, again, the different changes that were made by me, by him. So it's the work is there, even if the assignment has been deleted and doesn't exist any longer. So in a nutshell, that's the basics for Classroom. My stream has changed over the time we've been working because, yes, I added a video. I added BBC Bite Size. I added the extra piece of work. We've just done the assignment, and of course I've deleted it, so it's gone off the stream already because it's gone. And I can add some news as well. So I could say, please watch this, go to this link, whatever. It's very quick and easy to add things to the stream as well if you really wish to get some news out there.